3, 2, 1. Gotta get myself in the mood. It's been a long time. It's been a long time since I recorded. The holidays, family stuff, all kinds of things. And for once, I just decided to relax. Sometimes I need to relax. Sometimes I need to just be lazy. This was one of those times. It was purposeful, but now I'm back. Hope you enjoyed your break from my face and my voice. I got a new hairstyle. I got new glasses. It's a brand new year. Let's do this. What we ended up with last year is I started this 8th grade dropout channel for the purpose of giving back to teach some of you so that you don't make the same mistakes that I made. This is for anybody who's at a place in their life that they're not exactly happy with. I have a desire to help. I have a desire to give back. That's what this is all about. So today what I thought I would do is I thought I would talk a little bit about my growing up. I alluded to it in the beginning that that's kind of what this series was going to be about, and then I started reliving some of the things that I've learned over the last couple of years. And I just felt like we were at a good point where I can really dive in a little bit deeper on what shaped my mindset. How did I get from that 15-year-old that was arrested, that was kicked out of school in the 8th grade, that was completely and totally lost? How did I go from that to being a business owner to having 3 tropical smoothie cafe stores and selling them and working on some even bigger project that I can't share yet? How? To be as transparent as possible, the path that I had to take was not an easy path. No, and in fact, it was actually a long, arduous road. And if you're sitting out there now and you have that weight on your shoulder, like, how am I going to get past this? Well, I'm here to tell you it's not easy. You know, anybody that promises you that it's easy to go from here to wherever you want to go is selling you a bill of goods. It's not easy, but it's possible. So here's me, 15 years old. Let's go back there because that's where a lot of this starts for me. I don't know what it was, but I don't know. I don't know the reasons. You know, I've thought a lot about it, but I decided that I was going to be the class clown. For those of you that knew me at the time, you knew that I prided myself for some reason, I don't know why, in getting misconducts. Me and a friend, Steve, we would go in and we would talk in the morning and we would say, okay, who's going to get the most misconducts today, you or me? I did not take that challenge lightly, and I went into it. A lot of times I'd end up in the office. He would walk in 5 minutes. I mean, we had a great time with it. It was a game. I don't know why. You know, I could blame it on the fact that my dad left. I could blame it on that. I could blame it on the fact that I was a latchkey kid. I could blame it on that. But, you know, when it all comes down to it, it was how I processed those situations that really affected me. And I turned it on. I guess I needed attention. I don't know what to call it, but I needed something. The best way that I can get that attention at the time was to act out, and I strove for excellence in that field. Well, so here I am, just getting in trouble. Like it was nothing for me to get in-school suspension. As a matter of fact, the book Rumblefish, I loved Rumblefish. I read Rumblefish over and over and over because an in-school suspension, where I grew up, you couldn't do work. You just had to sit there. And I don't understand that. That didn't make any sense at all, but I'm not here to judge the school system. But I read Rumblefish over and over and over because you couldn't do the work. So, and I loved that book. I would go into in-school immediately. I can't remember her name, but immediately I would ask the teacher, where's that Rumblefish book? Because I'd want to. And The Outsiders, I read both of those. So I'm getting in trouble all the time in school. Then it progressed to a point where I was in so much trouble in school all the time that I just really got tired of school altogether. If you have ever seen the movie Office Space, when they talk about when he gets hypnotized and then the hypnotist actually dies, and he says, you know, he just walks up and out of the office while the hypnotist is having a heart attack because he's now under this deep relaxation. I just got really comfortable with, you know, I don't think I'm going to go to school today. In the movie, he says, you know, I don't think I'm going to get a job. I don't think I'm going to pay taxes. At that point in my life, I didn't have any burdens that I knew of. So I just decided that I wasn't going to go to school. And my mom, bless her heart, Mom, if you're watching this, you know I've said I'm sorry, but I'm sorry because I actually made my mom work so much harder than she needed to at the time. She was already working 2 or 3 jobs at all times. I made her chase me around. I made her figure out where I was until it got to a point where her and the truant officers didn't even care. They didn't care. I'm not speaking for them, but they knew I wasn't going to school if I didn't want to go to school. And so that was me. Okay. Well, idle hands, the devil's playground. So this is where, you know, who do you hang out with when you need friends, which I did. Who do you hang out with when you have no school? I love the people that I grew up with. Even during these tough times, I actually love them. I learned a lot from each and every person. But for some of you, I know I had to leave some people. You know, in that song, Once I Was 7 years old, he says, I had to leave some people, brother, I am sorry. I do. I feel like that because it wasn't them, it was me. But I knew that I really had to get in a different mindset. I had to change everything. And I had to kind of leave some people behind. For those that are watching, if that's you, I'm terribly sorry. I had to do it. I was in a desperate situation. So I'm hanging out with people that don't have jobs or work different hours, but a lot of them were just kind of hanging out and started getting into things that I shouldn't have. Started getting into things that weren't producing good results in my life. You know, started smoking pot, started doing all kinds of acid, and we even messed around with PCP. I mean, come on, that was the dumbest stuff I've ever done in my life. It didn't even smell good. It didn't even smell good. And I was like, well, let me try this. I got to a place where I was just working for the weekend, but the weekend for me was every day. Looking for a buzz. Didn't really care. And that was a place that, you know, it was comfortable for a second because my mom was working hard to kind of lift me up where I was failing, and I was falling short on a lot of different areas. So here I am. Just no direction, no focus, just getting high all the time, hanging out, because a lot of days there was just no one around, and sometimes I would just walk around by myself. Didn't have anything to do. There was no cell phones back then. There was no social media back then. You just did what you did. I don't even know what I would do on days that, but it wasn't good. I didn't spend that time focusing on anything that I could make myself better with. I did when I was younger spend a lot of time playing, you know, baseball or basketball. But as I got older, now I'm talking 15 and up, as I got older, that stuff went by the wayside, which came back to bite me in the butt. Because, you know, I tell people this story to this day. It kind of sucks, but I was invited to a minor league tryout for the Orioles minor league team. So we went. My dad ended up coming, and one of my favorite dad-son moments, because he left when I was 6, but he came and he took me, and we went to Oriole Stadium, and I tried out. Well, all those years that I had spent, because I was very good at baseball when I was young, but all those years that I spent doing bad things to my body, I did that when I was 18, I think. But those years of hurting my body, not practicing as much as I could and should, and essentially just living for the day, well, messed up my chances. I didn't have the arm that I once had. I didn't have the speed that I once had. I didn't have the instincts, so that I hadn't been doing what I loved, which was baseball at the time. I hadn't done it, so it didn't fare well for me. So that's much later, though. I got into a place where drugs were everything, and it wasn't, I don't even know if I had an addiction. I just had a fascination with it. You know, with marijuana, I don't feel like I was addicted. I don't know if that's a thing, but I did like it, and I did do it daily. But it became something where all I was doing was just living for the moment. And I think that's the biggest thing that I could take from that time period. I was living for the moment. Living for the moment. Living in the moment is good. Living just for the moment is not necessarily as good. And there's a difference between those things. The difference is be present, be right now what you're doing, but thinking about the next steps and thinking about tomorrow and working on something that's getting you somewhere is important. Just spending every waking moment in the now with no hope of the future, with no direction and focus, that's not necessarily good, and that didn't actually help me at all. So I'm spending a lot of time doing things that I shouldn't do, all caught back up with me. Eventually, I ended up failing 7th grade. That was a little earlier than that. Failing 7th grade. Going back, I was a little upset about that, and I actually passed 7th grade the second time through. Now I'm with a class that's younger than me, 1 year. Go to 8th grade. Well, I didn't go to school enough, and this was all just because I didn't go to school enough. I failed the 8th grade, and then I had to go back again. I was with a class that's 2 years younger than me. Not my favorite time of my life. Met a lot of new people. Great. But all those people looked at me, you know, in my mind at least, as if I were that person that should have been already gone and now is here in middle school for the 4th year. 5th year, sorry. 6th, 7th, 7th, 8th, and 8th. 5th year. Should have been a sophomore in high school. Should have been with all my friends in high school that I grew up with, that I was their age. It's a dark time. And it just came to a point where the school said, why? And at the time, you know, I was a little pissed off at them. I actually thought they had the attitude problem. I did. I thought they had it out for me. They didn't like me. I know they didn't like me, but let's face it, I wasn't extremely likable at that point. I mean, I'm comfortable enough to say that now. I wasn't extremely likable. I was just a young punk kid, and I didn't care about anything. Now, I don't get to go to school anymore. The surprising thing is, for those of you that are in that mindset where you're like, maybe you're a young person, you're thinking, well, I don't want to go to school. What's school for me? Let me tell you something that's extremely important. I was on the phone. We had those 100-foot long telephone cords. I was on the phone when I was at home, like after school, pretty much all day, all night, whenever, I mean, somebody else, because we only, for people younger than 40, 30, you may not know this, but we had these cords, but you only had one line. Sometimes you had call waiting, but only one person could use the phone at a time. I had this 100-foot cord stretched down the stairs into my little area, down the bottom of the stairs, often. I had so many friends. deep relationships. We talk all the time, and that's what we did. I mean, we didn't have anything. We didn't have social media, so we would just talk to each other, strange as that sounds. And I had great friends. But let me tell you, the moment I wasn't in school, and it's not their fault, and the moment I wasn't in school, out of sight, out of mind, I remember feeling extremely, extremely just alone. Because I'm not there every day. You lose track, you lose sight of people. And again, not their fault. I just kind of faded away. If you're young and you're in a position where you're thinking about leaving school, whatever grade you're in, don't do it. Not that I think public education is everything. I actually have my problems with it. But I will tell you that the friends and the relationships that you build, some good, some bad, some that you'll need to part ways with, some that you'll need to grow stronger with. But the relationships, yeah, it's important. Very, very important. Plus, I had to learn on my own. And again, not that I think public school teaches you everything you need to learn to be a success in the world. I actually think the opposite. But at the very least, the friends that you make during that time, the good ones, the ones that are positive in your life, yeah, I missed those. Well, it got to be, I'm out of school, had to get a job, ended up meeting different and new people, ended up going kind of a weird direction, ended up being in a place where I was hanging out with people that were doing crack. I personally didn't like it, didn't want to do it. I thought like that was there was something inside of me that said that was way, way, way too far. Did it like one time, did not want to be around that. Maybe I did it twice. Didn't like it, didn't feel comfortable, didn't like what it did to people. And that's when it was big. It was actually huge. Being right near DC, DC's half an hour, 40 minutes away. It was something that was happening all around me. And I ended up being in a situation where people that I wasn't even that good of friends with. My friends, yes, but then there's a couple other people that were there that I wasn't even good friends with. Honestly, to be honest with you, I really didn't even like those guys, the other ones. I didn't really care for them. They were seedy. Well, went to DC with them for some reason. Didn't have anything to do. Would have been helpful for me to have something else to do, but I didn't. Went down to DC. Ended up in the back of a cop car. Basically, ended up in one of the worst jails you could possibly imagine in DC. I, being young, we were still 15 at the time. Most of us, I think a couple were a little older, but I was 15. And so we were separated off, but let me just say, getting arrested for crack, it's hard to say. Getting arrested for drugs and going to jail at 15 years old did more for me than most things in my life. The best thing that happened was it made me think about life. It slowed me down. It showed me that you're going in a wrong direction. And that was an understatement. Like, it showed me that I was going off the rails like a crazy train would probably be the best descriptor. Yeah. In my 8th grade yearbook picture, I was wearing an Ozzy Osbourne Randy Rhoads t-shirt. If you were alive during that time, or if you were in my group, you know that t-shirt. Going off the rails like a crazy train. Best way to describe it. And it stopped me in my tracks. It made me think. It made me change some things. It made me change a lot of things. Back then I cut my hair. I had hair down here. I had long hair. I was a headbanger. Yeah, sorry. Look it up if you're young. It stopped me in my tracks. It made me think. It made me think about life in a different way, and for that I'm very, very thankful. I'm going to stop right there for today. Just chronicling some of the things in my life that shaped me. The 8th grade dropout, the reason I called it the 8th grade dropout was because it was probably the pivotal moment in my life. Then getting arrested, yes. But things got better. Thanks for watching today. I will have a follow-up video. We'll continue down this series. Couldn't say enough how important it is to me that you are here watching this. It means a lot. I appreciate your support. I really, really do. And keep following, keep watching. I'm hoping that it helps you. I'm hoping it's therapeutic for me to talk about this stuff. It always is. I'm hoping it's therapeutic for you as well. So please like, subscribe, share, help me grow this channel. And until next time, peace out from me.